Dr. Aaron Vale had lived on Outpost Helion for 7 quiet years. The station circled a dying red star, far from any major trade lanes, and even farther from the dangers that marked the galaxy. Most days were the same. Wake up, check environmental systems, record star decay measurements, and drink cheap instant coffee while listening to static-filled transmissions from remote probe arrays. It was peaceful. Maybe even boring, but Aaron liked boring. He liked knowing that nothing unexpected would walk through his door. So when the door slid open at 2:14 station time without him calling for it and a tall figure stepped inside, he froze. The woman's boots thudded against the metal floor. She wore a black travel coat scorched at the edges, and frost clung to her hair, as if she had come straight from the void itself. Before Aaron could speak, she threw a small metal object onto the floor. It skidded across the tiles and stopped at his feet. A warning beacon. Damaged. Military grade. She looked straight at him and said, "I'm not leaving tonight." Aaron's heart hammered. People did not break into Helion Outpost. People did not even visit Helion Outpost unless they were lost or desperate. Who are you?" he asked. The woman locked the door behind her and stepped farther into the dim-lit room. "My name is Mara Kesher, former scout commander of the Terran Reach." She removed her gloves, her hands shaking slightly, though her voice remained steady. "And I need your help." Aaron stared at the cracked beacon. "If that came from where I think it did, you should not be here. This outpost is civilian." "That's why I came," Mara said. "Civilians are off the grid. Harder to track." Aaron swallowed. "Who's tracking you?" Mara's answer took a moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet, something that is not supposed to exist anymore. At first, Aaron thought she was joking. Humanity had enemies, yes, pirates, syndicates, rival colonies, but nothing that could scare a former military officer so badly she'd flee to a forgotten outpost at the edge of nowhere. Mara's eyes told him she wasn't exaggerating. "What do you need from me?" Aaron asked. Mara nodded toward the beacon. "Scan it. I need to know if the signal attached to it is being traced. If they followed me..." She paused, studying the sealed door. "Then we don't have much time." Aaron hesitated only a second. Despite the fear rising in his chest, something deeper pushed him forward. Curiosity. Maybe. Or a sense of duty he thought he'd lost after leaving Earth. He picked up the damaged beacon and carried it to his console. The device was scorched, as if it had been near an explosion. He connected its remaining circuits to the outpost's scanner. The terminal flared to life, with a burst of red warnings. "Whatever hit this thing, it wasn't human," Aaron muttered. Mara exhaled shakily. "Then it's true." "What's true?" Mara sat down slowly, as though the weight of her next words was too heavy to hold standing. 3 months ago, our deep-range scouts detected strange energy readings near the Perseus Rift. At first, Command thought it was natural star birth, spatial distortion, maybe even a rare quasar echo. But the readings changed. They became patterned. "Patterned?" Aaron repeated. "Like communication," Mara said, "but not in any language our systems recognized." Aaron frowned. "The rift is uninhabited. Nothing lives out there. That's what we believed." Mara leaned forward. "Then one of our scout ships vanished. No distress call. No debris. Just gone. So Command sent my team to investigate." Aaron felt cold. "And what did you find?" Mara looked at the floor, choosing her words. "We found movement. In the dark, between stars. Something massive. Something old. Something watching us." He stared at her, unsure what to say. "Our scanners showed a construct," Mara continued. "Artificial. But not made by humans. Its structure was impossible, shifting geometry, like it was bending light and space around itself. We barely had time to record a fragment before it attacked." Aaron's breath caught. "Attacked? No alien species has been confirmed in 8. "I know," Mara cut in. "But whatever this thing is, it saw us as a threat." She clasped her hands together tightly, the only sign that she was struggling to stay composed. "The construct destroyed our ship. I'm the only survivor. Aaron felt the room tilt slightly, like gravity itself had become unsteady. If what she said was true, if an unknown alien intelligence had re-emerged from the rift, humanity was not prepared, not even close. "And now it's following you?" he whispered. "Yes," Mara said. "It marked the beacon with a tracking pulse. I broke the device, but not before the signal activated. I came here because this outpost is one of the few places with old, unregistered systems. Maybe that gives us a chance." Aaron shook his head. "Why not go to a military base? Or a research hub? They'd have better defenses." "Why not? Adderminter. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not?" Mara's gaze hardened. "I tried. Command believes the readings were sensor errors. They think I'm unstable after losing my crew." She looked away, jaw clenched. "They won't listen. Not until it's too late." Aaron examined her face. Tired, bruised, but determined. She didn't look like someone chasing ghosts. "What do you need me to do?" he asked quietly. Mara lifted her eyes. "Help me isolate the tracking signal. If we understand how it works, maybe we can disable it. If not," her voice faltered for the first time, "then we need to warn Earth." Aaron nodded slowly. "All right. I'll help you." A flicker of relief crossed her expression, but only for a moment. "Thank you. But understand this, you're involved now. If that construct is coming..." She looked around the small outpost room, shadows stretching across the metal walls. "It won't stop at me. It will wipe out anything in its path." Aaron swallowed hard. "Then we stop it." Mara gave a single, sharp nod. "We try." The outpost's scanners hummed as Aaron pulled up deeper diagnostic tools. Data lines flickered across the screen. Signal fragments. Corrupted sequences. Bursts of nonlinear code. The patterns were unlike anything recorded in human archives. "What is this?" he murmured. "It looks alive." Mara stepped beside him. "It learns. That's what we discovered before our ship was hit. The construct adapts to whatever technology it encounters. That's why we need to stay analog for as long as possible. Modern systems are too easy for it to infiltrate." Aaron's stomach twisted. "If it reaches populated space..." "I know," she said softly. A sudden alarm cut through the room. Aaron's head snapped up. Something just pinged our outer sensors. Mara reached for her sidearm, an older plasma pistol, battered but functional. "How close?" Aaron pulled up the readings. His voice came out thin. "Very close. Outside. Beyond the reinforced observation window." The dim star cast long red shadows across the outpost's hull. Space remained quiet. Still. Empty. But the scanners didn't lie. Something was out there. Something enormous. Mara stepped toward the window, her breath slow and steady. "It found us." Aaron stood beside her, fear rising into his throat like ice. At first he saw nothing. Then at the edge of the outpost's floodlights, space itself bent. Light warped around an invisible shape. Like a cloak being pulled back from the void, a structure emerged. Black, angular, shifting in ways that defied geometry. It hovered silently, studying them. Mara stared at it with cold resolve. "That's the construct. It never stops. It never communicates. It only advances." Aaron felt a surge of something unexpected: fear, yes, but also defiance. Humanity had survived worse. Humanity had built empires from dust. Humanity had faced impossible odds time and time again. And humanity had a habit of winning. Mara turned to him. "We need to move. Now." Aaron nodded. "Tell me what to do." The alarms kept ringing through Outpost Helion, sharp and cold like knives cutting the silence. Aaron Vale tried to focus, but his thoughts were shaking as hard as his hands. The construct outside the window moved in complete silence, drifting slowly toward the outpost, as if gravity did not apply to it. Space bent around its shape, bending light into strange angles. It was like watching a shadow come alive. Mara Kesher stood steady beside him, her eyes locked on the creature construct outside. Her posture was tense, but her breathing stayed controlled. She had seen the thing before. Aaron had not. That made all the difference. "We need to move," Mara repeated, her voice low and firm. "Once it decides to breach the outpost, nothing here will stop it." Aaron forced his mind to clear. "Where do we go?" "The escape pods are offline. The station is too old." "I know. That's why we're not running." Aaron looked at her in disbelief. "We're not what?" Mara turned away from the window. "We're going to fight this thing, even if all we do is slow it down." He stared at her like she had lost her mind. "Fight that? With what? A half-broken scanner and a welding torch?" She shook her head as she crossed the room. "Not with those. With information." Aaron blinked. "Information?" "The signal inside that beacon," Mara said. "It's a key. A weakness. Something the construct marked me with. If we understand the pattern, maybe we can disrupt it." Aaron followed her quickly. "You said it adapts to everything. What if it adapts to whatever we do?" "Then we try again," Mara answered. "That's what humans do. We try until something breaks." Aaron couldn't argue with that. They returned to the console, the cracked beacon still attached to the analysis ports. The strange, living-like code flickered in the air above the terminal, red and purple lines flickering like heartbeat rhythms. Aaron touched the interface. "I'm going to isolate the pulse sequence again. Maybe there's a hidden layer." "No maybe," Mara said. "There is one. Those things never send only what we see." Aaron took a slow breath. He remembered something from an old mentor back in his university days. When facing the unknown, stay curious first. Fear comes second. Aaron whispered the words to himself. Curiosity first. Mara heard him but said nothing. Her eyes were on the window again. Outside, the construct moved closer. The outpost lights flickered as its presence disturbed the electrical field. The station was old, too old. It had never been built for anything like this. Aaron worked fast. More data filled the screen, shifting, rewriting itself as if resisting his efforts. But Aaron Vale had spent years studying unstable signals. Patterns that broke themselves were his speciality. "There," Aaron muttered. "There's another layer, almost invisible." Mara stepped to his side. "Show me." He expanded the data. A second pattern appeared like a map, not of space, not of stars, but of something else. "It's searching," Aaron whispered. "It's using this signal as a compass." "For me," Mara said. "It's hunting me." But Aaron shook his head. "No, not just you. This pattern is too large, too complex. It's scanning for something bigger." Mara frowned. "What?" Aaron zoomed into the pattern until a shape appeared. Lines. Curves. Measured arcs. Like architecture. "It's scanning for Earth," Aaron said. Mara felt her chest tighten. "So sending me home would have brought it straight to humanity." Aaron swallowed hard. "If we hadn't broken the beacon, you would have led it directly to our homeworld." Mara took a deep, shaky breath. "Then this outpost, this forgotten place, saved billions of lives." Outside, the construct drifted even closer. Boom. The station trembled as something heavy struck the outer hull. Aaron nearly fell over. Mara grabbed the edge of the console to steady herself. "It's testing us," Mara said. "It's trying to see how strong the structure is." Aaron's face drained of color. "We won't last long. Then we need to act before it breaches." Mara pulled out her sidearm and removed its energy cell. "We're going to overload this." Aaron's eyes widened. "Explosives? That won't kill that thing." "No," Mara agreed. "But it will disrupt the signal. If we break the pattern enough, maybe it'll lose the lock. Maybe it'll retreat. No, or maybe it'll destroy us faster," Aaron pointed out. Mara gave a half smile. "I didn't say it was a good plan. I said it was our plan." Aaron looked at her, then at the windows rattling in their frames. They didn't have time to create a better idea. Humanity didn't always win because it had perfect solutions. Sometimes it won because it refused to lose. "All right," he said. "Show me what to do," Mara explained quickly. They would need to connect the overloaded energy cell to the beacon's tracking signal. The chain reaction should scramble the construct's active scan, at least temporarily. Aaron worked on the console while Mara prepared the cell. The light around them flickered again as the construct pressed against the station's shields. The hum of the energy barrier sounded weaker and weaker. "How long do we have?" Aaron asked. Mara didn't answer. She didn't need to. A second impact shook the outpost, stronger than before. The lights shut off for a moment, leaving them in dim emergency glow. Aaron typed faster. "Almost there. Almost." Mara stood at his shoulder. "When the pulse activates, get behind cover. The blast won't be big, but the shockwave might be." Aaron swallowed. "Great." Another thunderous hit rattled the room. Dust fell from the ceiling. The outpost groaned like a dying animal. Outside, the construct's shadow loomed larger, its shape bending reality like liquid metal. Aaron connected the final line. "Okay. The surge path is ready. Insert the cell." Mara slid the overcharged energy cell into the beacon's cracked core. The device began to glow. "Brace," Mara ordered. The beacon flashed bright white. A sudden boom shook the entire outpost as the pulse fired outward. Aaron shielded his face. Mara leaned into the wall for balance. Static burst across the screens. Lights flickered. Outside the window, the space around the construct distorted, warping, twisting, as if the pulse confused its shape. "It's reacting," Aaron said, watching the sensors. "It's losing the lock." But the relief lasted only seconds. The construct stabilized again. The distortion faded. "It adapted," Mara whispered in disbelief. "Already." Aaron stared at the readings. It evolved past the interference, and then everything changed. A deep, rumbling sound echoed through the station. The construct was no longer testing the hull. It was cutting through it. A thin, glowing line appeared on the far wall as metal began to melt from the outside in. The wall turned orange, then white-hot. The construct was slicing its way into the outpost. Aaron backed away. "It's breaching. What do we do now?" Mara grabbed his arm and pulled him toward the corridor. "We fall back to the reactor room. If we can't hide from it, maybe we can stop it another way." Aaron ran beside her. "How?" Mara didn't slow. "By doing something even it can't adapt to fast enough." Aaron stared. "Are you saying we blow up the entire outpost?" Mara's voice was grim. "If that's what it takes to stop it from finding Earth, yes." Aaron felt fear rise in his throat, but he kept running. The construct was here. It was breaking in. Humanity's survival depended on this moment. For the first time since she had arrived, Mara looked almost afraid. Not for herself, Aaron understood now, but for humanity. The metal wall behind them screamed as the construct finally broke through. Aaron didn't look back. They sprinted deeper into the station, toward the reactor core, toward desperation, danger, and maybe the only chance humanity had to survive the coming storm. Mara and Aaron ran through the dim corridors of Outpost Helion as the walls shook behind them. The construct had breached the outer section, and its strange metallic limbs were already spreading like roots through the damaged hull. The emergency lights flickered red, casting long shadows that followed them like silent warnings. Aaron's lungs burned as he kept up with Mara's pace. The station's old metal floors vibrated with every step. He didn't dare look back. He didn't want to see how close the thing was. "We need to reach the reactor before it does," Mara said breathlessly. Aaron nodded even though she didn't look at him. "If it gets to the core first, it will study it, adapt to it. Then it will own everything in this system." Aaron understood. The reactor was the outpost's heart. It powered the station, its scanners, its communications, everything. If the construct learned the frequency of the reactor's energy, it would use that knowledge to track similar reactors across human space. It would find Earth in days. They couldn't let that happen. As they turned the corner, a loud metallic shriek echoed behind them. Aaron almost tripped. but Mara grabbed his arm and pulled him upright. "Don't stop," she said. But Aaron had already seen something, a flicker of bending light at the far end of the hall, like a shadow twisting in a shape no human eye was meant to follow. "It's inside the station," Aaron whispered. Mara didn't disagree. "Yes. But the station is old. Its halls are narrow. The construct is big. That buys us a little time." Aaron swallowed. "Not enough. Never enough," Mara said, "but enough to try." They reached a thick metal door with a glowing red panel. "Reactor level. Authorization required." Mara pressed her hand to the scanner. A cold denial beep came out. "Of course," she muttered. "This outpost wasn't built for military use." Aaron leaned forward, typing quickly. "I can override it. The station still recognizes science personnel. Reactors need maintenance access." Behind them, the metal walkway trembled again. A deep hum filled the air. Screeches of twisting metal echoed closer. Aaron typed faster. The panel beeped once. "Access granted." The door slid open. Mara pushed him inside, then sealed it again behind them. For a moment, everything was quiet except for their breathing and the low hum of the reactor chamber. The reactor room was huge, far larger than the outpost's small outer rooms. The central chamber held a tall, cylindrical core glowing faint blue. Pipes and cables spiraled like veins into the reactor, connecting to every part of the station. The air was warmer here, vibrating with steady energy. Aaron stared at it. "If we overload this, the whole station will go." Mara nodded. "Yes. And if we do it right, the construct will take the full impact." Aaron's heart twisted. This wasn't what he imagined when he took a quiet science post on a lonely outpost. No danger. No enemies. No world-ending threats. Now the fate of humanity rested on a dying station and two people who barely knew each other. Mara walked up to the console and started entering commands. Her fingers moved quickly, confidently. She had worked with reactors before. Aaron approached her slowly. "You've done this kind of thing?" "Once," she admitted. "A long time ago. During the border conflicts. Same idea. Wrong enemy." Aaron's voice softened. "If we overload it, there's no way out. You know that." Mara didn't answer for a while. Then she said quietly, "I know." Aaron stared at her. "Then why fight? Why not run and hide?" Mara looked up at the reactor's blue glow. "Because someone has to try. And because humanity has survived everything by refusing to be afraid of the dark." Aaron felt a strange calm settle over him. There was something powerful in her words, something that reminded him of heroes from history books. Not perfect people. Just people who refused to surrender. But he wasn't ready to give up completely. "There might be another way," he said. Mara turned. "I'm listening." Aaron pointed at the reactor. "If we can create a controlled overload, not a total explosion, it might produce a burst strong enough to disable the construct without destroying us." Mara frowned. "That requires precision. Too much energy. We die. Not enough. It keeps coming." Aaron nodded. "But it's possible. We have the signal pattern we extracted earlier. If we match the overload frequency against the construct's tracking frequency, it might confuse it long enough for us to escape." Mara's eyes narrowed. She studied him for a long moment. "You think you can do that?" Aaron forced confidence into his voice. "Yes." Mara gave a small nod. "Then let's try." They turned to the console together, fingers flying across the old keys. Aaron adjusted the frequency regulators, while Mara rerouted power from the station's life support and lighting systems into the reactor core. Lights in the chamber dimmed to almost nothing. Only the blue glow of the reactor remained. Suddenly, the sealed door behind them trembled. Aaron froze. "It's here." Mara pulled out her sidearm again. "Keep working." Aaron hesitated. "Mara, keep working," she repeated, sharper. "If that door opens, I'll slow it down." Aaron forced himself to focus. His hands moved across the controls as numbers flickered across the screens. The reactor temperature began rising slowly. The door shook harder. Something scraped along the metal, a sound like claws dragging over steel. Aaron whispered. "It's cutting through." "Then hurry," Mara said calmly. Aaron tried to speed up, but his fingers trembled uncontrollably. He could hear the metal deforming behind him. His breath grew shallow. "Mara," he said softly. "I'm scared." "I am too," she answered. "But we don't stop." Aaron looked at her. Even in the dim blue glow, she seemed unbreakable. Not because she was fearless, but because she kept going despite the fear. This was what heroes looked like. Aaron turned back to the console. Overload path established. Starting frequency match. The screen displayed two sets of data, the construct's signal and the reactor's energy output. Slowly, the lines began to shift toward each other. The door screeched loudly. A thin, glowing line appeared across it as the construct sliced deeper through the metal. Aaron forced his voice to stay steady. Frequency match at 60%. 70%. The reactor glowed brighter. Mara stepped closer to the door, weapon ready. 90%, Aaron shouted. The metal door bulged inward like something enormous was pushing against it. 97%. The door cracked. A twisted limb pushed through the hole. 100%, Aaron cried. "Mara, do it now." Mara turned and slammed her hand on the emergency override. The reactor core surged with blinding white light. Boom! A wave of energy exploded outward, shaking the entire outpost. Aaron flew backward, hitting the metal floor hard. Alarms screamed. Sparks rained from the ceiling. But the reactor didn't explode. The overload stabilized exactly as they hoped, releasing a massive shockwave without destroying the core. The room rang with the aftershock. When Aaron staggered to his feet, he looked at the breach in the door. The construct's limb hung still, frozen mid-motion. Its surface flickered with broken light, as if its shape were unraveling. "It worked," Aaron breathed. "Mara." "It actually—" Then the limb twitched. Aaron's heart stopped. "No," Mara whispered. "The construct wasn't destroyed. It was recovering. Adapting." Mara grabbed Aaron's arm. "We have to leave." "Now." Aaron didn't argue. The reactor had bought them a little time, only a little. But it was enough for a new plan. Enough for one more chance to fight back. They sprinted out of the chamber, heading for the only place left where they might survive. The outpost's old communications tower, the only system capable of sending a message strong enough to reach Earth before the construct adapted again. Mara looked back once. The shadow in the broken doorway was already beginning to move. Mara and Aaron ran through the shaking corridors of Outpost Helion, as the reactor chamber behind them, filled with sparks and metal screams. The shockwave from the controlled overload had stunned the construct for a short time, but both of them knew it would adapt. It always adapted. That was its nature. The station lights flickered weakly, the power system struggling to recover. Emergency lines glowed dim red along the walls, guiding them deeper into the outpost. "Communications tower?" Aaron asked between breaths. "Yes," Mara replied. "It's our only chance to warn Earth. If we can transmit everything we know, the construct's signals, the patterns, everything humanity can prepare. And if the construct catches us before we send it?" Mara didn't hesitate. "Then Earth gets no warning. And it finds us helpless." "I'm not." Aaron forced himself to run faster. The tower was in one of the highest sections of the outpost, a tall, thin spire, built to send long-distance research transmissions. It wasn't meant for emergency galactic communication, but Mara believed they could overload its signal booster to fire a burst strong enough to reach Terran command. It was risky, almost impossible, but impossible things were what humans were known for. As they climbed the narrow staircase toward the tower entrance, a deep vibration ran through the entire structure. Dust drifted down from above. Aaron stopped. "That's it, isn't it? The construct?" Mara listened carefully. Another metallic shriek echoed through the halls, one she now recognized all too well. "It's chasing us," she said. Aaron felt a tremor of fear move through him. "Can it track us that easily?" "Yes," Mara answered. "But we only need to outrun it for a few more minutes." They hurried the last few steps and burst into the tower control room. It was small and circular, filled with dusty consoles and old screens. Large windows surrounded the room, showing the stars outside. The communications array stretched upward like a skeletal spine. Aaron moved straight to the nearest console and began powering up the transmitter. "It's going to take time to charge," he said. "The system is old. Very old." "How long?" Mara asked. Aaron hesitated. 5 minutes. Mara took position at the door, gripping her weapon. "Then we hold for 5 minutes." Aaron's heart pounded. "Mara, you know we can't fight that thing." "We don't need to win," Mara said. "We just need to last." Aaron focused on the console. The screens flickered and hummed as they awakened from long sleep. A progress bar slowly crawled across the display. Power increase. 12%. 18%. 25%. He glanced over his shoulder. Mara stood calm and steady near the doorway, her silhouette sharp against the dim lights. Another vibration shook the tower. "Mara," Aaron said nervously. She breathed slowly. "It's getting closer." Aaron's hands flew across the keys. He uploaded the signal pattern they decoded earlier, the same pattern the construct had used to track Mara. If Earth received this data, they might learn how to detect the creatures before it was too late. Power. 40%. 47%. 53%. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the hall just outside the room. Aaron jumped. "It's at the entrance." "Keep working," Mara ordered. The tower door shook violently. A long, black limb pierced through the metal, slicing it open as easily as cutting cloth. The edges glowed red-hot. The limb twisted unnaturally, feeling the edges of the doorway like an animal tasting its surroundings. Mara raised her weapon but didn't fire yet. Plasma shots did little against the construct. Aaron's voice was shaking. "Mara, what if the transmission isn't enough? What if they don't believe us?" "They will," Mara said firmly. "Because we're sending them proof, and because humanity listens when danger is real." The door tore wider. A second limb pushed through. The construct was almost inside. Aaron bit his lip and forced himself not to run. The transmitter continued climbing. Power, 62%, 71%, 79%. The whole tower shook as the construct began forcing its way in. A deeper, more monstrous sound roared through its core, like bending metal screaming. Mara shouted, "How much longer?" 20 seconds, Aaron yelled. The creature finally pulled itself through the torn doorway. Or part of itself. The construct's body didn't seem to follow normal physical laws. It folded and unfolded like shifting plates of black glass, forming shapes that hurt the eyes to look at. Sparks flew as its limbs scraped across the floor. Its head, if it was a head, tilted toward them. Aaron stumbled backward. "Mara, I see it," she said, her voice steady. She fired a plasma shot. The bright bolt struck the creature, exploding in a flash of blue. For a moment, the construct staggered. Then it straightened again, adapting to the attack instantly. Aaron's voice cracked. "It didn't work." "It slowed it," Mara corrected. "That's enough. Power. 88%. 93%. 97%. The construct leapt forward. Mara tackled Aaron out of the way as a massive limb slammed into the console where he stood moments earlier. The metal crushed inward like soft clay. Sparks burst everywhere. Aaron shouted, "The transmitter." Mara dragged him to the other console. "Backup controls. Do it now." "Do it now." Aaron scrambled to his feet, fingers flying. He slammed the final command. "Power. 100%. Transmission ready." "Sending," Aaron shouted, hitting the red button. A powerful burst of light shot upward through the tower's core, and into space, a bright beam carrying every bit of data they had collected. The warning was sent. Earth would know. Humanity would have a chance. But the construct was already turning toward them. The tower walls cracked as its limbs spread across the room. Aaron backed away. "Mara, we need to run." Mara didn't move. Aaron grabbed her arm. "Mara, come on." But she was staring at the creature as if seeing something new. "Aaron," she said slowly. "The signal. The reactor." The transmission burst. Aaron looked too. For the first time, the construct's body wasn't stable. The burst of the transmission had interfered with it. Its form flickered, edges dissolving like smoke. "It's destabilized," Mara whispered. The signal overloaded its structure. Aaron's eyes widened. "We can finish it." Mara nodded. "The tower's power source. We overloaded exactly like the reactor, but stronger." Aaron's voice trembled. "That will destroy the whole tower, maybe the whole outpost." Mara met his eyes. "Then we finish what we started." Aaron stared at her. Then nodded slowly. "Together?" "Together," she said. They sprinted to the tower's main power conduit. The construct thrashed behind them, trying to stabilize itself. But its limbs kept flickering, phasing in and out of reality. Aaron ripped off the panel and exposed the core lines. Mara aimed her weapon at the conduit. "On 3, she said. Aaron nodded, hands shaking. 1. The construct lunged. 2. The tower walls began collapsing. 3. Mara fired. The tower exploded in a massive blue flash that tore upward into space. The blast swallowed everything in the room, the consoles, the walls, the construct, the metal floor beneath their feet. Light consumed the outpost like a sun being born. And then, silence. In the Locanitis epilogue, the message that saved humanity. Weeks later, deep in Terran Command headquarters, a transmission burst was intercepted, weak, distorted, but unmistakably human. The data was analyzed, the warnings were confirmed, and the threat was understood. Humanity began preparing. New defenses were built. Patrol fleets were launched. Scientists decoded the patterns Aaron had captured. Soldiers studied Mara's last report. 2 names were recorded as heroes: Dr. Aaron Vale, Commander Mara Kesher. Their fate was never confirmed. Search teams found no bodies, no remains, no ruins. Only a shattered fragment of Outpost Helion, drifting silently near a dying star. But the transmission they sent lived on. It became the first line of Earth's new defense protocols, a message carved into history.